All right, let's do this. My man, thank you so much for being here. First and foremost, go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience.
Hey guys, Thomas from Team Sakurasou here. So on my channel, what I like to do is I like to do market watch discussions. I like to go over the market, especially on TCG Player, tell you guys what cards are going to go up, what cards I think could be reprinted, and just secondhand, market knowledge. I like to pass that on to you guys, as well as what cards to get before they skyrocket in price. So if you love making money, you love the Yu-Gi-Oh market, you're definitely going to love my channel. I also do discussions as well, though, where I discuss the state of the game, how to either, like, for example, let's say a set flops. My last discussion was actually about why Duelist Advanced flopped. That was my last discussion. How to make Legendary Duelist better, right? I'll have Yu-Gi-Oh hot takes. So I do a lot of Mark Watch content, news, and Yu-Gi-Oh discussions. I try to spice it up. And yeah, you guys, if you enjoy that, come to the channel.
Sweet. By the way, I'm gonna leave Team Sakurasu's links in the description, YouTube, Instagram, and all that good stuff. Go check them out if you're interested. So, speaking of making money, let's start with the first conversation. It's gonna be interesting because I'm really curious about this. As you know, Yu-Gi-Oh has been like maybe not dying, maybe not dying. It's a little bit too extreme right now, but it has declined. Okay, and then we know this because the previous sets, as soon as they came out, the boxes dropped to like 45 bucks, 40 bucks, something like that. I don't think I've ever seen that before. I think I've seen that like maybe once a year or something like that, but not back to back to back, right?
$37.
That's crazy. So we
As
do
core
know.
sets go, it's almost as bad, if not as bad as Shadow Specters back in like 2013.
Yeah.
But for just like normal sets, I think the last time we saw a box go close to $37, and it did hit 37 and lower, was Legendary Duelist Soul Burning Volcano. But that's not a core set, that's a Legendary
Right,
Duelist.
right,
So
right.
those don't always perform well regardless.
Yeah, but yeah, seeing back to back, main core sets or just sets overall, it's actually kind of crazy. So with that being said, right, you said let's make money. We have a TCG YuGiOh Business, and I want to just dig more into that. Let us know what do you do to make money out of this, business, even though it's dying. Tell us as much as you can, man, because we are interested, very interested. Go ahead, man.
How I actually started into the Yu-Gi-Oh business. I was doing market watches for a little bit, and I always loved going through the market. It was fun. But when I came back to the game back in late 2018, I was like, you know what? Let me just collect all that. And I already had the collector mindset. So I knew what cards could kind of go up, as well as my stock knowledge. So I always got cards before, not to sell them, but just to have my personal collection. One random example off the top of my head would be Ultimate Rare Value. I ended up getting those for $5-6 just because I love Blackwing. So I want to get one copy, if not place of every high rarity Blackwing card that was like relevant, because there's a few Blackwing cards scattered around 5Ds that have ulti prints that are very irrelevant. I would skip those, and it was just for me in my personal collection. However, when we hit 2020 and COVID happened, during my second to last semester of college, right? And I had a lot of downtime, and I'm like, well, everybody needs money, right? I like making money, and day trading was very different post COVID, and it's still very different now. And I was like, let me try my hand on like just doing some small time selling, I guess, because I know how it works. I've sold cards before, all that, and I know what's going to go up before it does. The market was very predictable and a lot easier to read, not only back then, let's say even post COVID or pre COVID, but even back in my day when I used to play a lot as a player, back in like 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016. It was very predictable. The business slowly grew and grew, and my wife started helping me with it. And when it came time to get, a career and a job, the business got, a lot larger because we're supposed to start more small time. The YouTube was also growing a lot at that point. And I was like, well, I could try this for a little bit. And the way life went, I just ended up getting a full store, full shop. I just love buying and selling cards, mostly because I get to look at them, right? Even if I don't get to own it forever, it's like, well, I got to look at this card. That's pretty awesome, right? So
Okay. I do want to emphasize this. If you're watching, right, because teams like Ross is very successful selling and buying all that Yu-Gi-Oh, right? Uh, quick quick disclaimer, because you're gonna go into this and mean you're gonna make big money, right? You have to be, like that you've been around since 2012, 20 year when 10, 14, 15 years, something like that. So you do know
Yeah.
what you're doing for the most part. So just keep that in mind, guys. You have to struggle, you have to grind, obviously, all that good stuff. So with that said, man, in 2025, are you still profitable with this business?
Yes, I am, but the market's completely different than what it used to be. Konami likes to very over reprint something.
Okay.
And before anyone gets confused on what I'm about to say, what I'm about to say is reprints are good. I love reprints. In fact, I am glad that some of these cards are more accessible, not only faster, but a lot cheaper than what they used to be back in the day. I think there's some aspects of Konami that handles reprints well, but when they reprint a card, I'm going to give you guys a perfect example of this and kind of why the market's changed. Back in my day, and even like the people like the unks before me, right? In their day, max rarity used to be max rarity, right? So if the max rarity of a card was an ultimate rare, that was just an ultimate rare, right? It could get reprinted 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times. It could have multiple dollar listings, bulk, all that. High max rarity would be max rarity. It would have value and it would never kind of be toppled. It can maybe be met, right? At that level, but it won't be the max rarity won't ever lose the value, right? Nowadays with Yu-Gi-Oh, and this is what really kind of changed the market, was Rarity Collection 1. Because Rarity Collection 1 started reprinting cards in 7 different rarities, so they would really overprint heavily the card. But the biggest problem, and this is why the market really changed and why I tell people, yeah, it's still profitable in 2025, but it's a lot different, is because what max rarity used to be was it could be an ulti, it could be a Starlight rare, but now that we have QCs could be Starlight rare, and let's be real, everybody, it's practically the same thing, a QC and a Starlight. I think we all know an example of a card that had a Starlight rare. That same card got a QC, and that card went down 70, 75, 80%. And some of these cards are expensive. Like, to give you guys an example off the top of my head, like Triple Tactics Talent was at certain points of its lifetime $1,000 just for one copy of a Starlight Rare Triple Tactics Talent, right? Sometimes they were
Oh,
800, right? But when it got reprinted as a QC, the value got cut in over half, right? And that's just one example of many. Valor is another popular example. In fact, fun fact, me and Heart of the Pack were talking about Valor in a different call, and I looked it up, and that card used to be, 5, 6, 700. Can't hold $200 now. And it got reprinted as a QC a while ago. And that's kind of the thing. You don't really get rewarded for holding on to cards anymore. You have to get rid of them very quickly. It's definitely more of a flip market, and holding on to cards, or say putting your eggs in a basket, is a lot more detrimental, and it's a lot riskier as well. So I personally would not advise it unless you really know what you're doing. Quick thing actually on that topic, if you could do what I'm doing, because I think some of you guys, especially because, when it comes to Heart of the Pack, you guys are smart. I've seen his comment section, right? If you could do it in Yu-Gi-Oh, you're going to have a lot more profit and a lot more success and a lot more ease of mind doing it in a different card game, like Pokemon,
right.
right? I'm here because I love Yu-Gi-Oh too much, and it's what I know, right? I have all the knowledge, all that. I don't have to relearn anything. So just a quick thing about that. The other thing about the market that makes it really, really suffer here is that this used to be a trading game. I know that for some people who are playing for only a couple years, maybe even like 6 or 7, what I'm about to say will sound like, to put it frankly, horse shit. But almost every single person, if not every person at a locals of like 20-ish people, used to have a trade binder, right? If they had cards they wanted to trade, they were just in the trade binder. They didn't need to exactly sell them immediately or anything like that. But it's like, oh, I opened up a couple packs. I pulled something worth money. I could put in my trade binder and trade for something that I actually do like, or if someone needs it, I could just trade for more trade bait, trade it for a new card to look at, whatever, right? So there was always a great circulation of cards. And this included cards that maybe were never money ever, but if a player at locals needed it, they would have it, like, oh, it's cheap, but if you need it, you could even borrow it for the day. You could just trade for it. It's a couple dollars, right? And would really help people out. Nowadays, most people don't want to trade at all. They think it's a hassle. They think everyone's trying to get $1 or $2 up on them, right? They would rather just sell it to someone like me, right? And get anywhere from 50 to 70, 75%, right? Which isn't bad numbers at all, right? But as the guy who would be profiting by you doing this, if you trade that card for 100% value for cards you do want, that's way better for you as a consumer, right? To perfectly be honest with you
Yeah.
guys. Nobody likes to do that anymore. And that's another thing that really, really hurt the game because we're seeing a lot of these buyouts not really recover like they used to back in my day. You know, a card will be bought out to like, you know, let's say $60 and it will take a long time to calm down, or it just crashes immediately because it was just, you know, on some BS, right?
Give us a little rundown, a little rundown of what do you do as a business? You know, do you buy sealed products and then resell them? Do you buy just singles and then resell them for profit? Like, what do you do exactly, or as much detail as you can give us, to be profitable like this?
Okay, well, sealed nowadays, in fact, I have a whole video on this, isn't worth it in Yu-Gi-Oh! When the sets are up and down and shops are at the point that they want to not carry Yu-Gi-Oh! Because they're sick and tired of taking a very big loss every second time they order a product, right? I would not really mess too much with sealed unless it's like some type of rarity collection or like a really good set. Maybe Justice Hunters, which is coming up. That's a very good set. You really have to think about what you're getting sealed and how much of it you want to get, right? If it's a very good set, yeah, you can grab a lot of sealed and then remove it. But if it's not, you're going to be with a pretty big loss. And if you guys don't know about distributors, I've worked with stores. They're not going to sell you 10 sets of the good set and 0 of the bad set. To give you guys an example, let's actually use not Duelist Advance, but Alliance Insight and Stampede, right? Now, Alliance Insight, as we know, that box tanked. It was like $40-ish a weekend. Wasn't as bad as our last one, but still pretty bad. If, let's say, you ordered a bunch of Stampede, right? Actually, Justice Hunters is a lot better because it's coming up. Let's say that you didn't order a lot of Alliance Insight, the recent set that came out. Sorry for changing the example on the fly, but I think this is just more accurate. And let's say you only ordered 1 or 2 cases because you knew that core set was going to be bad, right? Okay, sure, you didn't lose that much money. As a store, you probably sold 12 boxes perfectly fine, right? Maybe even 24. Cool, right? Just know that when Justice Hunters comes, you're not going to be able to order 10 cases or 12 or 13 or 14. They're probably going to give you 1 or 2, right? Distributors expect you to buy the bad sets as much as the good sets. And if you want to pass on a bad set, it's not good. They don't really have the option to say no. Even if they get a little less, okay, cool. You'll just get a little less of the other one. And it's to the point where stores are really struggling with sealed. So getting back to the original question, as a vendor myself, I used to do sealed a lot just to help the community. And I still did like Alliance Insight, but I didn't do Duelist Advance, right? I took a loss on Duelist Alliance, or not Duelist Alliance. That's actually a good set. Alliance Insight. But I still got sealed, not for profit, but just to help my community. There was a lot of people at my locals who needed certain cards, especially Marchant Hairs. And I ended up helping them out. But if it wasn't to help my community, I wouldn't get sealed really at all, unless it's like the quarter century Stampede, something really cool that's like, oh, I could sit on some of these cards. I don't got to worry about it too much. I mostly deal with singles, and it's very much what I would recommend is mostly just dealing with singles and making your cut and calling it a day.
So when you mean singles, do you go shop at TCG store or TCG Player or eBay? Like, wow.
At the point of where I'm at right now,
Yeah.
obviously this is not going to be for someone starting
Right.
out. My phone rings like at least three times a day saying, Saki, hey, when can I come over? Hey, are you going to be here Saturday? I want to sell you a VS Core. This or that. Or, hey, can you look through
Oh,
my binder? Bills are due, right? I get a lot of people, wanting to buy and sell stuff, right? I have a community. I've been commissioned for teams in the Chicagoland area where they're like, hey, we will give you a certain amount of money and we will get a certain amount of singles back. This is our want list, right? So I can fill out want lists, stuff like that. Um, in order to do that. And I don't really buy off TCG Player that much unless it's for me, right? Because then I'm in no hurry to get it. I don't expect a profit. It's like, oh, this is going in my binder, right? Or, oh, I'm going to play with this card, right? Doesn't happen too often nowadays because as a vendor, so many cards pass my hands that I'm at the point where I have everything I really wanted. It's just about keeping it at this point, or if I want to make a play set of a card.
so
But yeah, I just get a lot of people. For my community, I do them a favor because everybody has good cards to sell when they want to sell cards, but some people have bad cards. I usually get whatever they have, and because this isn't my main job, which by the way, I'm telling you guys this right now, this is profitable to the point where I pay off my condo, not rent. I pay off my condo, right? I pay for bills and I'm able to live off this, but I still have another job just in case. Just to let you guys know, because I have that, and if you guys ever start doing this, which I don't recommend it really, but if you want to dip your toes in, me saying no is not going to stop you. Hopefully you're successful. But what I do is, since I work the main job, I can hold on to cards, right? So if I buy, let's say, bad cards, like, because people, like, for example, people will have like staples, VS cores, all the good stuff, but then they'll have like random mutant cards, right? Random cards like Mermail. Let's say they have, because I have a stack here. I'm just gonna take something. Let's say they have like random wind up cards, right? Stuff that nobody at locals is gonna buy. You have to go to like a vendor or you have to go to a store where they offer you basically nothing, right? I will buy whatever they have, and if it's like a small cut, I'll take the small cut. If it doesn't sell, it doesn't sell. If it does, it does. I have stuff that sells like a year or two later, and I don't even remember picking it up. I just pick up everything, and that way I have a good volume of sales every day.
So let me ask you this. If you can answer this, if not, it's all good. Okay, don't worry. Could you tell us on average how much do you make, not profit, just on sales a month on average? I know some months are different, right? Some months are high, some months low. Can you tell us on average how much you make on sales, and if you can, on profits, like give or take, or is that too personal?
So I sell in person and online. I'll say that the number is big, and that's what I'll leave it at.
A month.
So,
Not the number is big every month.
oh, every month, yeah. I'll say this: we're
Ah,
talking 5 digits.
by what?
Wait, yeah, 5 digits,
10 grand or
4 to
more?
5 digits. 4 digits, sometimes 4 digits. It could be five. It depends on the month. Depends on what sets come out, right? Did I buy a couple
Okay.
cases to sell?
Right. Wow,
Did
man.
a big spender
Holy.
come in that wants to spend like 3 grand because I have people like that, or are they coming next month? It all depends on a lot of factors.
Imagine if Yu-Gi-Oh was, peak, and those numbers will be triple, quadruple. You might like probably just, quit your main job, huh?
I'd probably take a break, definitely, or I probably wouldn't have even started to begin with if it was that crazy. And I get to keep my horrible sleep schedule. Oh, absolutely. I would always try to sell within your local community more, or trade. That I always tell people that you're gonna put a lot of money in this game. Try your best to retain it. You don't always have to make a profit. Like let's say you try out my Market Watch channel and you're like, yeah, I like this, but I don't really care about making money. Whatever. You can just save yourself money or maintain money because most people who play this are an adult. Either you're a collector, a player, or anything in between. We've all sinking in a lot of money in this game. I don't want to think about how much money I've sunk into this game, or else I will have a panic attack.
You
So
and me both.
exactly. So it's always important for you to understand how much money you're putting in this game because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what I think. You have bills to pay, or at least I hope you do if you're an adult and you're not just mooching, right? You got to be smart with your money and your value everywhere. And that's just a universal lesson that you guys could take away from
Right,
this. It
right,
doesn't have
right.
to be just in Yu-Gi-Oh! It could be anything, a lot of other things. But I don't want to digress too much. I do love talking though.
Yeah. So with
But
that
what's
said,
the next
though,
question?
with that being said, if big recap, right? If somebody starts or wants to start this a side hustle selling Yu-Gi-Oh, so quick recap, and then you can tell me if I'm correct or if you want to add something else. Quick recap: you want to start first and foremost, make sure you know what you're doing. You gotta be in the game for a couple years. That's better. The more knowledge, the better. Focus on singles, specific singles, not any singles. Avoid sealed product as much as possible unless you know for a fact that it's gonna be a good product. What am I missing?
I would probably say that you need market knowledge. Like, yeah, you can play
Market.
for a few
Right.
years, but if you have market knowledge, it doesn't have to be just in the game in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! It could be anywhere else. Like, let's say you do sales and you know how trends are, all this and that. You could probably sell in a TCG pretty easy, right? You'll be fine, right?
Okay.
Like I said, I compared Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG to stocks, right? Going from stocks to Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG was pretty easy, which is really funny because they're like closer to the middle now, both of them. many, many years later in the year 2025 now. But
Yeah.
I would really just recommend doing it in a different card game if you really want to. Like if you're thinking, oh,
Okay.
maybe I should do Pokemon, go do Pokemon.
Quick note though. What do you think about vintage steel products though? Real quick. Do you think it's a good investment nowadays or nah? Like old
Now,
school.
vintage is definitely different than like your modern holding onto sealed and selling sealed. Vintage is different because when something has a first edition label, and we're talking like really old school sets, like yeah, we could talk about like Legend of Blue Eyes, right? Metal Raiders, but we could also talk about, Force of the Breaker, all that. When sealed gets to a point where it's extinct like that and it's considered vintage, absolutely, I agree that it could be worth money. You could sell it for a lot. Holding it could have a lot of value. There are tons of stories where people will be like, oh, I had some old sealed Yu-Gi-Oh from back when I was young, like some first ed packs. How much are they worth? And they get like $1.50, right? $2,000 for a couple packs,
Right.
right? Especially when during post COVID, I think there were like first ed LOB boxes. I don't know if this was Blue Eyes itself or LOB, but I think they were selling for over 10 grand, like closer to 15, 16. I could be wrong with that, but they were selling for so much, and I'm like, that's a down payment on a house off a single box, right? There's a guy who had a case, right?
Yeah.
That's retirement money, right?
Right.
Off one case of Yu-Gi-Oh, right? I think vintage could be worth it, but there are a lot of other ways to make money in life. And getting vintage is like, can you get a deal on it, right? Do you think it go up a lot in the next year, 2 years, or 3 years? What your weight to how much money you can make, and then you have to get rid of it. It's very different, right? And then you run that small risk of damaging the sealed. And if it looks like it's been tampered with at all, goodbye, right? That's the other thing. If you're asking me, should you go into vintage? I think I wouldn't really per se. Me personally, but that's because I make my Yu-Gi-Oh money many other ways.
Right.
But as a collector, I have vintage because I really, really like it,
Right.
right? Like I have right to the right of me, I have like first edition Toon Chaos. I have some first edition Zexal sets. Like I have first edition Redo, Return of the Duels, because that's one of my favorite sets. Because Madolche was introduced, right? So my vintage is just from personal collection.
Okay.
I'll be honest, there's a lot of other ways to make money or a lot of other ways to invest or
Yeah.
make your money go up. I like to say make your money work for you. That's what mama always told me. Mama always said, be smart, make your money work for you ever since I was a kid, and that's how I see it.
Yeah.
Have you guys really quick also have you
Yeah.
guys hit that like button yet? If you haven't, you
I
gotta hit
like
that
that.
like button.
You know what? I need to do
All right.
this more on my YouTube videos. I never do this, and I feel like
Yeah.
that could
More
help
people
actually.
like the video if you remind them.
Yeah, that's true. So yeah, guys, like it if you're enjoying it. Good point. Thank you for that, man. So Yu-Gi-Oh, it's declining right now. I want to ask you, what is your opinion or your intake on what Konami needs to do to bring Yu-Gi-Oh back? If you have any ideas, maybe one, two, give us your thoughts, man, on that.
So before I state, I will first of all, I like to call them co-money.
Yeah,
Is that
Komani.
Yu-Gi-Oh is that co-money really does not care. Like I will tell you answer the question, but they don't really care about making the game better. Now, obviously they want their profits to rise, but they're making so much money where they also kind of see how much effort they're putting in and they're like, the money could go down, but if we're not putting much effort in, where it's better to put effort into other IPs or endeavors. They're
Man.
just not going to. You guys have been around the block for a while. There's a reason why Yu-Gi-Oh is dying. I'm putting this in quotations, right?
Right.
But it's having less of a turnout. It's not doing as well. I think our Nats had 3,000 people, which is very good
Oh wow.
this year.
A lot more than I thought.
And Nats was awesome. It was super fun. I think the year before it was 4K, around 4K
Oh
though.
wow, it's a big downside.
Yeah, but what I would probably do, and this is something they're starting to do, but they keep hiding behind this "we will never do money" thing because the original creator. I'm gonna be honest. Not only do I not believe that, but times change, right? And Konami needs to get up on the times. We need to start doing cash prizes. Yu-Gi-Oh is, I'm not gonna say it's one of the only ones, but there's a reason why we have stuff like PPG where people get cash prizes, this and that. Older formats used to have better prize, much like 10 times the amount of prize support than the actual game, right? There's been multiple videos where there's people like Jesse Cotton leaving like, oh, I got this frame. I'm gonna just leave at the event. It's not even worth bringing with me. His prize wasn't worth bringing.
The number one prize.
That's pretty bad.
The number one prize he left.
Yeah, he
Oh
just left
wow.
at the venue. He said, "Whoever takes it, whatever." I
No
don't care.
way.
Yeah, you know, there's Pac showing his 28th Nintendo Switch. Like, wow, this is great. Can I get something useful for what's for, you know, because Pac's done a lot for the community, like content wise, this and that, right? But he's got his 28th Switch for like, you know, getting a top 8, top 16, you know, whatever, right? He had this picture of like a ton of Switches. 28 might be an exaggeration, but it was a double-digit number, and that's already pretty bad. What we need is we just need cash prizes. We need better support. Now, them giving cards that are worth a lot of money, like how at Nats, top 256 would get a pack with a certain card in it. That's a good start in the right direction, and it's unique. I really, really like that, right? Helps the collector's market as well. Gives them something cool to have. But I really think that they need to do prize support, especially because Yu-Gi-Oh is an expensive game. Your decks are worth like 5, 6, 700 baseline, and that's minimum rarity, like base rarity, right? You should be getting, if you're like topping a YCS, you're getting like, especially something like top 16, top 8, top 32 at YCS in general, you should be getting a lot of that around that type of money back, enough for like at least your ticket, plane ticket there, your deck, all that, right? If, you know, get something, right? And that's why prize cards used to be worth a lot of money. Yu-Gi always has to get whatever Konami gives us and turn that into money and say, oh, we got this amount of money from winning, right? Let's say you get a prize card at a YCS and you sell for 1,000. Oh, I got 1,000, right? You have to say you got 1,000, but you have to go through a different means, right? And I just think it's kind of sad that, you know, and Konami should see that people selling their prizes immediately because they just want the cash. And it's just unfortunate. Now, but prize support, I think we all agree on. I think the other thing is they need to start helping their local OTS stores, because a lot of people like to use the word Yu-Gi-Oh's die, right?
Yeah.
But think about how humans used to hunt back in the day, right? When there were huge mammals, we did not 1v1 shit, okay? We were not like, what's that one guy from Ice Age, like the big guy with the nose, like a mammoth, right?
I know who you're talking about, but I cannot remember their names though.
Yeah, you know, you got these huge animals,
Right.
right? Like Shadows of the Colossus is walking around. Nobody 1v1'd it, okay? There was like a ton of us throwing spheres and trying to kill it, and guess what? It would take days, right? For it to bleed out, right? Same thing with big companies, okay? Just because you got a critical hit doesn't mean it's going to die, right? That critical hit is just going to help it bleed throughout the years, right? And Konami has a lot of spears in its back right now, right? It is that mammoth that is being hunted. So local stores refusing to sell already, you know, well, let me start over from the beginning. The turnout for Yu-Gi-Oh used to be in the top 3. People like to say, oh, you know, Yu-Gi-Oh's in the top 3. Nowadays, it's not really in the top 3.
Right. Yeah.
Lorcana and One Piece are outperforming it, and we've accepted the fact, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that wasn't the state 2 years ago, right? Stores now aren't afraid to cut Yu-Gi-Oh. They're not. One Piece and Lorcana are fine. You couple that with Magic and Pokemon, and hey, maybe Flesh and Blood's doing well. If Yu-Gi-Oh stops profiting them, they'll cut it. And I've already seen a lot of stores do it. Konami needs to help the local stores. They need to talk to distributors and be like, hey, look, because you have to remember what they're printing's paper, right? They're making a lot of money off Yu-Gi-Oh, right? They'll always make a profitable margin.
Yeah.
But they need to help stores get it for less so their losses aren't as big, so it's profitable, right? They need to make sure that their locals help stores with their local scene as much as possible. They can't be arguing about Time Wizard and, oh, we want to have the Arata Goyo Guardian, right? Which brings me to my third point. Yu-Gi-Oh desperately needs someone that is actually playing the fucking game. I need Konami to get people who play the fucking game to talk to them. Because I really think it's a bunch of old people who don't know how the game operates or anything like that. They need someone who's actually playing the game, knows what's going on, how players feel. And they could do this in the OCG, right? They could do this in the TCG, right? Because there's different branches, right? See how players feel. See players' receptions. Actually send someone who works for you to play a fucking locals, right? Like, choose a store, play their local tournaments for a month, right? You know, or one every 2 weeks. Talk to the players, see how they feel. They need more boots on the ground. And that is something that they're so lazy about, because that's what happens when you're a AAA company. They don't have to do that, right? Because imagine they send out 100 people, let's say for the TCG, right? Send 100 people for the TCG to different locals in the 50 states. They go to OCG. They take 100 people, send them to all their locals, right? They all report back and they see, and these are people who are passionate. They don't just send random employees, right? And they actually come back with the reception, right? They will learn so much. They will learn more about the player base than they did probably in 20 years. And that's not exaggeration. Way more boots on the ground. That is a good thing. They need to be familiar. It's like a restaurant, right? You need to know the local area you're opening up a restaurant. Same thing with Yu-Gi-Oh! And that's the other thing. Another thing that I would say for Yu-Gi-Oh! Now, I could probably rant on for a while here, is we need to start in the TCG getting more of the OCG's treatment when it comes to what merchandise they get, etc. Because Yu-Gi-Oh! Players love merchandise. They love merchandise. Sealed can always go up or down. It could succeed, it could fail, whatever, right? We have our amazing sets like Darkwing Blast, and then we have our poo alliances, right? We're always going to have that. But when you release like a cool binder, sleeves, all that, like when they release the IP sleeves, right? People love that.
Yeah.
Right? And the quality for their binders isn't even good. It's actually pretty bad, right? I could recommend 10 better binders to get, but guess what? They still sold really damn well. Really well, right? And that makes them a lot of money. Imagine if they put more effort into it, or like just half of what the OCG gets, like, because they get certain, like they'll get like a whole theme, right? For, let's say, Dragon Mage, where it's sleeves, you get a special card, right? A mat, and it hypes people up, right? They're like, oh, this is awesome. I can get this, right? And it sells really, really well. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is more than just cards, and they need to understand that. We don't even have a show that's going on right now. Like, we don't have no Vrains, no Sevens, right? Nothing. We have no TV show right now. None. And if you didn't know that, there's probably a reason, because it probably would suck anyway.
You think so?
You still don't have it. Oh yeah, I do. I mean, Vrains was just like 5Ds without the flavor. But I think the duels were fun. The duels were fun on Vrains.
Okay.
I will admit the duels were fun, but getting back to the point, another thing off the top of my head, that could be a lot better, is I would probably go back to respect, and this is never going to happen. I don't think a lot of this is going to happen, right? But I would go to respecting the older players and the collectors. Like I said in the last video, and Harley Pack, I want your opinion on this one as well. And the people watching, I really do, is collectors used to spend a lot of money on you. Where, this is the max rarity, I'm going to grab this, right? Oh, they'll never reprint a Starlight Rare, so I need my Starlight Rare Veiler because that's an iconic card, right? And then it gets reprinted as a QC. When QC started being reprinted from Starlight Rares and Collector Rares, aka CR, it literally has Collector in the title, started getting released as PCRs, Prismatic Collector Rares, which, let's be real, it's the same shit. Cards that were like, let's say, $80 CRs would drop to like $10.
Yeah.
Right? And before anyone in the comments tries to act smart and say, but if it's for the sake of collecting, you shouldn't care about how much it costs. Well, when what you're collecting all starts losing a crazy amount of value continuously when you get it, wouldn't you rather just wait until it just crashes entirely to grab it? We're all adults, right? We can all see if we're wasting thousands of dollars or something and put a halt to it, right? We don't have to act stupid, right? We're not talking about, that one card lost because of this reason or this or that. We're talking about whole collections going down thousands to $10,000. I've talked to vendors. And this counts for stores that were holding on to cards as well, right? They have ultimately hurt the collector's market to a point that it cannot recover. And I've talked to a lot of people who used to collect at all certain levels, and they all do it much less, including myself. And that's how it's going to stay. And that's why a lot of max rarity isn't what it used to be, right? And that's just that.
Yeah.
What is your opinion on that?
Yeah, man. I mean, it's common sense if you ask me. I know people are gonna complain, but it doesn't matter if it's a good thing or bad thing. People are always gonna complain. There's gonna be those people that just don't like it for some reason, and it's fine, But yeah, I'm with you 100%, man. That's from my personal experience. I've done that before. I actually sold a few cards that I really wanted it, but I knew for a fact they were gonna go down in price. So I just sold them for quite a decent amount, which I didn't want to, but it just made more sense financially. And I'm not the only one. I bought in the past year, I bought like I want to say like 4 collections, big collections from people that feel the same way. You know, so yeah, I'm with you, man, 100%.
It's awful. And just to add something, Konami even like I think it was on Twitter releases like, oh, PCRs and CRs are different. And it's like we
Yeah.
know damn well what you were doing. Another thing very quickly that I would like to the reason that just popped up in my head. Like I said, guys, I could be here for 2 hours, but don't worry, I won't be. But hey, if you like my yapping, come to Team Sakurasou, link in the description below. We're so close to 6,000. Another thing I think is I want Konami to communicate with each other, with themselves more. And I want to explain this. Sometimes we'll see very odd reprints. Like, for example, in our recent Battles of Legends, we got a lot of heraldic reprints, right? Instead of communicating either with like the players or themselves, they reprinted most heraldic cards besides the one that was actually worth the most money, right? It's kind of a slap to the face when you see that, right? Or when reprints start getting doubled up, like, oh, we just got this reprint as like, let's say in ultra rare as a reprint in Battles of Legends, right? Well, in 3 weeks, you guys are also going to get a common, right? And they just stack these reprints that could have been other reprints to make the game more accessible, but they're just not. And a good example of this is with their high rarity. And you guys can look this up. So our last Battles of Legends before this, which was probably to some people, they will consider this the best Battles of Legends, but it does have QCs in it. You can't really compare it to many other Battles of Legends. They don't have high rarity like that. Terminal Revenge gave us Diviner of the Herald as a QCR. I think it was within 2 weeks before that, we got OTS 25,
Oh,
and that had Ultimate Rare Diviner of the Herald.
right.
We get maybe 3 to 4 OTS packs a year, right? That's not a lot. That's 12 ultis, right? Why are we getting an Ultimate Rare of a card and then getting a QC within the same 2 weeks? And they're both hard to pull. When we could have changed the ulti into something different, and we could have had the QC as Diviner. Or keep ulti Diviner and make the QC something else, right? That'd be awesome, right? Instead of just doubling up on that, right? Another thing that I want Konami to do, by the way, is I want them to stop making OTS ultis and supers and then reprinting those supers as ultras very quickly so those supers are worth nothing and making those ultis worth nothing later. I had a whole video on why OTS is failing. You guys could go check it out. I have a conspiracy theory you did not hear anywhere else. And I really mean that. You guys have to check that out. You will not stumble upon that information by yourself.
I'm gonna link that video in the description. Send it to me if you don't mind, because I do want to watch
link
it.
my channel and link it below. But on my channel, I have discussions in a separate category, so it's all cleaned up so you could see it. And there's other cool discussions there as well. Man. Hopefully you guys have enough reasons on why Konami can improve. Oh, quick note, they're not going.
Well, yeah, most likely, but hopefully we're wrong about that. But let's go back.
Realistic.
Let's go back into your first opinion on how to get with the prices. If you were in charge today, right now, you're in charge for putting the prices, adding whatever you want. What is it for first, second, and third? What would you give if you're Konami? If you're in charge of that, what is it?
Well, are we talking about YCS? Are we talking about regional? Are we talking about world? YCS? Well, first of all, we're doing cash prizes.
Okay, what is it?
But guess what I'm also doing? I'm adding the packs as well. That pack idea they did for Nats, great idea.
Okay.
We don't have to even scuff the money to give out the pack, right? Because the pack is going to cost us at Konami virtually nothing at all. We're talking pennies. Not even. So even giving, say, 256 packs away, what are we giving? $20 away, maybe? To 256 players, right? I don't know how much the pack... The pack itself probably costs more than to make the cards. So imagine going to a YCS, right? And I would give prizes to top 64, actually.
Oh, wow.
Maybe top 128 if we hit a certain threshold. But let's say you get 32nd place. You get top 32, right? You get exchanges for 25th. Imagine getting, like, let's say... Maybe now we can't give maybe to top 17 through 2. Maybe we can't give them all $1,000, right? But we can give them like 250.
How much?
But we can give them 250 each. 250.
Oh wow. Okay, you're very generous.
Right? Or maybe we could give those garbage Switches away so they could sell it for something.
Okay.
That's fine too, right?
All right.
Maybe give them a Switch
and
then give them a pack of that, right? Because think about it like this. Let's say it's a Switch 2, right? Oh, I got 20th place at this YCS. At least I could sell this Switch for $300 something, but then I have the pack. and then I can sell those cards. What happens if I pull a Blue Eyes? Well, now I might be looking at a grand on top of it, because the Blue Eyes that came out recently, I was selling for up for $1,000, right?
Yep.
Imagine at Nats, if you got 250th, but you pulled the Blue Eyes, good job. You got more prize support than top 64, right?
Yeah.
That's just I don't make the rules, right? You could do something like that, and then they obviously get the mats and stuff, but people don't really. Some people like the mats, like the Bestial Magna Hut mat. People were buying that, but a lot of the mats, people might like them, but not a certain amount. I would just focus more on cash prizes. You can keep it simple, but I will add another thing. I would actually see who's topping consistently, like let's say Jesse Cotton, let's say Pac, Team Samurai, whoever, right? And I would be like, hey, you topped this event, or you're doing really well. Let us pay for your hotel room. Oh, you don't think you can make this? What happens if we give you a free ticket and board at the Hyatt? Are you sure you don't want to come? We can have that done in 5 seconds. And then guess what? Pro player everybody likes magically is there, right? Treat the competitive players that are good well, so they continue playing your game. But top 16, I would definitely be doing cash prize.
All right, I want to hear the top 3 though. I want to hear the top 3. What does third place get?
At least 10,000 for first place out of
$10,000.
Yeah, 10,000
for his first place.
Maybe Yu-Gi-Oh sucks right now. 6,000.
All right,
but
second place.
They get a couple of packs, so they can make the 8,000, 9,000. That's what I would. Okay, very quickly. How about this? $5,000, right?
For what?
But here's for first place at a YCS. But you give them more of those packs, so they could sell those collector individual cards. And then they could technically make more. See, you could be smart about it. And before anyone says, oh, since you're so smart, why don't they just give them a whole crate of these packs to sell? Okay. We could also overinflate the market so they're worth less, they get less, but whatever, right? But for second, third, obviously they just go down a certain percentage. I would just chalk up and do the math.
Okay. Hey man, look, if I could vote.
One more thing.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
One more thing. I'm sorry. This is something that it's a passion thing I would love to do for the community if I could ever do it. I want everyone to hear me out. This is something I've thought of for a while, and this is something that I lied about one time to my mom when I was young, and I was like, "Hey, wouldn't it be cool if they did this?" I think I really like the younger crowd in the game coming in, because we need new life in the game, right?
Yeah.
You need to treat your younger players well, right? When I get a younger player, and this doesn't have to be a kid. This could be someone who's 19 or 20, right? 21, right? If I see, because I'm an old man as well. If I see them as young, they're young, right? I like to treat them well, keep them in the game, help them play for cheap, right? That I've given bigger discounts on cards. I've negged on cards just so the younger community can have them, right? Which brings me to the point of I would love if younger players could get certain like scholarships, right? Now, obviously the way that it can work in the scenes as background is very complicated, but there are universities and colleges that have worked with bigger companies to give scholarships away, either to people who really need them or this or that, because they always have a certain amount of money they could discount this, that, and the third, right? Imagine your kid, let's say he gets accepted to university, he tops a YCS, let's say he tops like a regional and a YCS, he gets a bit of a grant, of a scholarship, right? He gets a little money for school, right? That'd be great. And I think that would be something super cool. Maybe that's a stupid prize. And if you guys think that, you know what? I love disagreements. That's completely fine. But when I was a kid and I lied about it to my mom, saying, oh, I got to go here. If I win, they'll give me a scholarship. She believed that shit, by the way. But I just thought it was always cool. You know, I thought it would be awesome.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
And this could be to college, too. Like, even if you're like 21, go back to school, man. Fuck it. You're 30 years old. You're older than me. Go back to school with this 5,000 scholarship, right? It's something, right?
Okay. Hey, man, look.
You never know. Maybe someone's life changes because of that. And I know that it's Konami. They don't give a fuck about you or the product of your life, right? Most people don't. But it'd be nice, right? I'm trying to be positive, guys. I'm really not positive. I'm sorry to crack it to you, but I would love if something like that would happen.
Would you consider working for Konami if they give you the chance or nah?
Yeah.
Yeah?
It would suck because I can't like shit talk them anymore, probably. But
you could though, well,
yeah, it's good as no. I'll probably gonna get slipped out. Like, oh yeah, I work for Komani.
You get fired the same week. Oh, you Komani, you're out of here.
Yeah, I'll be like, no, but we have all this footage. Yeah, that's AI though.
Let's switch to almost the last topic. It's very interesting. This is for me personally. This is the most interesting for me. I don't know for most people it's not, but for me it's very interesting. I talk about your channel, YugiTubing, right? Your channel is what 5.75K, like almost 6,000, right? I wrote this
Yeah,
down.
5.75.
That's a big number. Um, but I want to ask you though, man, in your thoughts, how do you go from 6,000 or let me rephrase this question. Why only 6,000? How can I say this? I want to know your insights on why is it that it's only 5,000 and I'm saying only like it's a small number, it's a big number, right? But why
I
not
don't care.
10 grand? Why, I mean, 10,000,
Well,
20,000? What's
I can answer
happening in
that
your
fairly
mind?
easy.
Give me your thoughts on your YouTube channel, your growth, the future, all that good stuff, man. I want to hear your thoughts.
Well, what easy? It's because I am a niche of a niche, right? Yu-Gi-Oh is a niche, right? It's not generic like comedy, this or that, right? If you want to grow big, don't do a card game, especially Yu-Gi-Oh, right? I do this because I love it, right? That's the reason why, right? So 5,000 is not a big number, but it is for Yu-Gi-Oh in my opinion, right? And I
Yes.
appreciate everybody who does subscribe. And when you do market watches, in my opinion, I would say that market watches are the least watched and least enjoyed type of content in the Yu-Gi-Oh sphere. I
Okay.
think most people will go towards deck building and deck lists. That's what I believe is the most popular, tied with maybe openings, but we have such an oversaturation about it.
Yeah.
We have openings that are big, but it's very oversaturated. Deck building and how to deck build, which is one of my favorite things in the game, if you know. You also have like Yu-Gi-Oh news, you have replays, right? You have your own series like drafting, right? And you have
Yeah.
all these other things. A lot of players in the game may not enjoy market watches, right? Maybe they enjoy Yu-Gi-Oh discussions and other stuff, but they're least likely to enjoy market watches. That's more for competitive players. That's for players with also more financial literacy because I'm sorry, a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh players don't have financial literacy.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to tell you, they just don't, right? Like you could say, I'll give you an example of this, right? Because there's a lot of idiots on Twitter. I could say what we said, both me and Harley Pack said, hey, when they reprint Max Rarity, that's really bad. Oh, but why are you against reprints? I'm like, oh no, if staples get reprinted, especially fast enough where more players could have them, even in a lower rarity, and which makes them more accessible, that's great. But when you reprint a QC or a Starlight as a QC, aka second Starlight, it hurts collectors, and they'll be like, but why are you against players having the cards to play? And it's like, no, dumbass. I want you to have a common droplet, a super, an ultra, right? But we're talking QC versus Starlight here. There's no Starlight droplet. I know, by the way, but just as an example.
Right.
Let's say Valor, right? QC and Starlight Valor, right? Hey, there's a lot of comments. We don't need to make another QC Starlight that's almost the same, right? Oh, bro, I don't know why you hate why scalpers hate reprints so much. It's like, you fucking idiot, right? They just don't have financial literacy. It
Yeah.
just is what it is. But because I'm a niche of a niche, and this is gonna sound kind of bad, I don't see myself growing too much, and that's fine.
Really?
I cherish the community I have, but the other big thing is Market Watchers also got a big hit because, like I said earlier, my channel was for the more competitive side, the ones with financial literacy. You know who has financial literacy usually? Collectors, right? If a lot of collectors start leaving the game, why they're not going to watch me. I've had a lot of people who are regulars say, "Hey, Saki, I love your channel. I just can't do this game anymore." Or, "Hey, I stopped collecting years ago, but I love to see that your videos in my feed." And those will like leave a long comment because I used to respond to their comments a lot, and I always like to respond to people's comments, right? And I'll see
Yeah.
them once in a while, and they're there just to say hello to me, not the content. Which is
Mm.
kind of, in one way, it's like, hey, I guess you like me as a person.
Yeah.
That's awesome. But the other hand, it's like, damn, the OGs are leaving, right?
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people that I saw, not just in my market watch, House of Champs, Fresh's comment section, that aren't there anymore. And it just is what it is, right? So it's kind of like I've had to kind of, in a way, regrow my channel because I've lost people because the game was in a bad state. Tier and Snake Eyes format, especially with how close they were, it did a lot to the community, and we do feel those effects. And it's kind of unfortunate, but the future's bright because since I always do this for fun and I don't have to like live and die by the views, luckily. It
Okay.
still hurts a little bit when I see the
Right.
views.
Right. Right.
Sometimes it's a little lower, a little higher.
Yeah.
I don't want to lie to you guys, but that's all the only reason why I don't make it my job is because I can have fun with it. I can say what I want, do what I want, right? I think the channel it's bright, right? I keep chugging along. Some people come back to the game, right? Maybe my advice gets a lot better, right? Because I definitely have calls that are amazing where I tell people get a $3 card, it goes up to 30, right? And maybe not as much like that, but sometimes it's like a $15 difference, or let's say a $50 card goes up to 100, stuff like that. People will always come to the channel looking to get cards while they're cheap for whatever reason, to make money, collect, play the game, etc. Right? Trade and get value, right? So I'll always have a channel, but the growth is kind of 50-50. But that's also why I do other things like Yu-Gi-Oh discussions. I love doing Yu-Gi-Oh discussions, talking about the game.
Interesting. So,
and Yu-Gi-Oh news, because I don't just read off what it is. I tell people the
right.
implication. So
Yeah.
I do news as well.
So you're content with not growing too much, as long as you do it because you like it and all that good stuff, which is understandable.
Yeah, I'd like to grow, but I always look at it realistically.
Okay.
And yeah.
Okay. I know most of my, YouTuber friends, well, online friends that we started doing this, most of them already quit, and it's typically the same reason. You don't grow, you get discouraged, which happens to all of us. Every single
Yeah.
YouTuber, not only YouTuber, but every single YouTuber obviously goes through this. Oh man, my video only got 100 views versus
Oh, I've been
500
very
last time or
discouraged.
something like that. So you always wonder why. Is it me? Is it the YouTube algorithm? Do I suck? And then you just question yourself. And a lot of the times, it's not even nothing to do with you or the YouTube algorithm. Maybe, like you said, is niche. And there's so much talk about this, but I was wondering, I want to pick your brain on your own channel. If you had anything that you would do, change anything to grow, what would it be? But in your thought, you're not doing anything different, right? You're just gonna go with the flow and just do it because you love it, right?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I would love to do more discussions.
Okay.
That would be awesome. I would love to make like generic Yu-Gi-Oh videos as well alongside the market watches. But like I said, I work, guys, if you didn't know, I work like 50, 55 up to 65 hours a week. I just don't have, and because I also like spending time with my amazing wife, right? That brings me big gulps.
Yeah.
Uh, but that sounds awful out of context. Oh my god. But you get the point. I don't have as much time to you know, not improve the channel per se. I still do, but not as much as I would maybe like to, right? But the same time, since I don't have as much time to, you know, lay around with it, I don't get burnt out either.
Right. Okay.
I also do want to address one other thing that you said about algo or discouragement. To a lot of YouTubers who are watching this, people watching, you're gonna feel discouraged. 2024 was the most discouraging year for YouTube and probably my personal life in general, right?
Mm.
Just me self-reflecting on myself. Nothing super horrible. Don't think that, but I definitely made my fair share of mistakes. I'll say that. But point is that you'll always feel discouraged, but you have to see if you enjoy it or not, and it will always somewhat be a multitude of factors, and it can always change. For example, I am not going to say any names here, but for example, when market watch content started going down, I looked at my peers, right? How are their market watches doing, right? Sometimes they'd be doing a lot worse than they should have, and I'm like, hold on, that makes no sense. And then sometimes it's like, well, no, maybe it's the algo, my video did bad. And then sometimes it's like, well, maybe someone prefers someone else over me because, let's say, they're more entertaining, or they don't value the information, they like the entertainment with the information, or oh, someone prefers me over somebody because they like the way I do market watches, right? Or sometimes you just don't like a YouTuber. I never take offense to that, by the way. There are people who are like, wow, yeah, I just don't like your content. And I'm like, that's perfectly fine. And they just like me as a person. I've had customers like that. So
We all do. We all
it
do.
just is yeah, it is what it is, right? So if you feel discouraged, I mean, I hate to say it, but you're just gonna sometimes you're just gonna have to stew with it, and you can either do something about it or not. But if you want to give up, I mean, think about to yourself, do you really want to give it up, and why? And or do you want to let the storm pass? I usually try to let the storm pass and do something in the meantime.
Huh.
If you don't mind me saying one thing, I will.
Yeah.
This is
Go for
more
it.
generic advice. It might not be for Yu-Gi-Oh per se, but as an adult and someone who really prides himself as being a breadwinner, right? Doing your best, because I came from a single mother household, right? So I always wanted to, improve, right? I always want to be the best version of myself, make my mom proud, all that, at least back when I talked to her. But point is that I always have different ways of making my money, right? I have told you guys technically 3 so far because I've mentioned stocks, I've mentioned selling, and I've mentioned YouTube, right? That's 3 ways of making money, right? I also have my main job. Now, I'm not going to tell you guys what my main job is, but let's just say it is a job that AI can't really replace. Pretty future-proof, and it's a solid, very useful job, right? That's 4 ways of making income, right? It's always good to have multiple streams of income. That way, when you lose one, you're not homeless. You're not going to debt. You're not
Yeah.
going to saving. You're not moving back to your mom's place, right? Always, always, always assume the worst.
Hmm.
And the worst could be around the corner.
Always assume. I like that. Okay. All
Always
right.
assume the worst.
So, all right, man. That was awesome, by the way, man. Thank you so much for the information. We're gonna go straight to the last topic. Speaking of YouTubers, speaking of content creators, I want to hear top 5 favorite YouTubers and why are they your favorite top 5? And we can end our conversation with that.
You should ask everybody what their max bench is, like randomly in the
What is your max bench? Just let us know.
155.
A lot.
I
A
weigh
lot.
150, guys, so at least it's my body weight. But the goal is 175 to 1 by the end. So,
All right. Give us your top 5
oh, folks.
YouTubers and why.
So my top 5 favorite YouTubers, I'm gonna be real. It's gonna be a little lame just because my top 5 are people I like and talk to, right?
Okay.
So for example, I would say I really love MCO40. This is no particular order, by the way, because he was a YouTuber I watched even back in the day. He's who I looked up to when I was a kid. I love the types of content he had. Obviously, shout out to Jay, fresh off the press. Like we talk about a lot of things, not Yu-Gi-Oh, like in a call. Like we're legit friends, actually, right? So I like to watch his videos to not only support a friend, but I think his market watch content's amazing. Right?
Who's this again? The second?
Fresh off the press.
Fresh off the press, huh?
Yeah, he'll
Okay.
be your next interview. Don't worry. I'll hook y'all up.
I bet. Awesome.
I would probably say YuGiOh because his content helps me play the game more efficiently and have more time for other things like his hand trap. Beautiful. Love that series to death. What a hand trap, man. Love the series. Plus he's controversial like me, and I like that.
Okay, good.
Heart of the pack, obviously, right?
Oh, let's go.
No, my obviously got to shout my boy, right? And then
You're not
I
being
also
biased
like
at all.
oh, I know I am. I'm perfectly biased. I told everybody. It's people I talk to,
Oh,
right?
man, I love it.
Because if I like you and I talk to, gonna give more than a 5 because there's some people I still talk to.
Yeah, go for it.
TCG, House of Champs, love House of Champs. He actually helped me with a huge favor back in the day, and him doing that off his volition, really nice guy. I'll always remember what he did for me.
Okay.
Really nice guy and good market watchers, obvious as well.
Yeah.
Market watchers as well. Akime TCG is a great guy. I love how he popped up with his shorts. I knew him back when he was small, and it was just a great guy to talk to. All that, very, very nice. I'm so glad he's doing well. Ruxin34 is really, really nice. He's just really easy to talk to as well. I've had small conversations. I met him one time at a YCS a long
that's
time
cool.
ago. He was just as friendly as he was online. Great, really, really, really nice guy. He shouted me out twice back in the day too, and I always appreciate that he did that. Because I do love when YouTubers give back to the community, right?
Yeah.
I think a lot of people like to not shout out and help smaller creators because they know they could get overshadowed. I've heard it, and everybody I mentioned so far, they're not like that. They're great people. Like, my boy, my editor, Josh, he does content. Shout out to him. Shout out Harv Card Man. Shout out everybody who kind of helped me, really. Like, if I'm forgetting you, I apologize.
Well, it was supposed to be top 5, bro. You give more than 5, you're more than generous. I'm with you, man. The few people that I know on this list of yours, really nice people, man. I want to thank you again for your time. Guys, once again, I want to leave all his links in the description. Go check him out. Awesome. Thank you so much, man. I'll try to upload this.
Say is,
yeah, go ahead.
If you guys haven't checked out Market Watches before, hey, why not give it a try with me? Going over the market, it could be really fun. I do discussions as well. So come subscribe. I'd love to see you there.
Awesome. Thank you for your time, man. Guys, peace out, and just say goodbye real quick in your own words, how will you say, peace out in your channel? Go ahead and say it.
I always just say peace out. Like, I'm just like, oh, peace out.
Perfect right there. I'm going to end it right there then.